here. We're now live. So hello. Welcome
Oh,
everyone
hello.
to Monday Meets. It is our weekly broadcast from the Willow, or the remote offices, as it were, of the Willow, where we meet with staff members and talk about programs and the folks who run them. I'm Will Averill, and with me today is Chloe, who I'll let you introduce yourself in just a moment. But I just wanted to let everybody know that today we're going to be talking a little bit about advocacy and rural outreach. If you have questions throughout the course of today's presentation, do feel free to put them in the Facebook comments, and I will try to go over them as we go through. If you have something that you don't feel comfortable asking, you prefer to ask anonymously, you can email me, and I will throw my email in the comments. But it's waverill@willowdvcenter.org. Just go ahead and feel free to email that, and I'll try to get those questions in as well. That also works if you're watching the YouTube video and you have a question later on and this is not live. But welcome, Chloe. Hi.
Hi, Will. Thanks for
How are you?
having me. I'm
Yeah.
doing great, actually. Monday morning, Monday meet.
Yeah.
It's off. The week is off to a good start so far. Hard work here at the Willow, but I'm doing really great.
So can you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us your title? I mean, I've kind of blown it for everyone on the Facebook page, but just so we've got it on the recording.
Yes. Well, my name is Chloe Romero. I am fairly new to the Willow. I am the Rural County Specialist for Franklin County. So what that means is that I work with survivors in and out of Franklin County, Ottawa, and all the surrounding towns. And I help them really with whatever they need. I do a lot of court advocacy. So if you are needing any assistance with that, I'll be your girl. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's been great so far.
Awesome. Well, we are really excited to have you, and it's really fun to have you join today. Tell us a little bit about now. How long have you been here now? I forget because the time just seems to fly.
Time flies, really. I've started working early February. So I've been kind of obsessing over the Willow since about mid-January. When I started my deep dive of research while applying for this position. And then I started February 8th to be exact. And it's been real ever since. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what's your background? Do you come from a social services kind of background? Is that what you've always wanted to do? Or did you stumble into the advocacy work? How did you get here?
Yeah, good question. Definitely kind of stumbled, as I do with most things in my life, just kind of stumble my way along. Yeah, I'm actually really new to Kansas, only been here since the summertime. I just moved on over. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I moved to Omaha, Nebraska for college. So I was there for 3 years at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and I was actually a communication studies major. Definitely not social work or anything like that, but advocacy does come in my background. My parents are, I believe, day-to-day advocates in their everyday life, but my father is a substance abuse counselor and has been for a very long time. So I've kind of always known about the advocate, client, survivor relationship dynamic my whole life. But I was a communication studies major in college, and I just graduated this past December. So
congratulations.
Thank you. It was a long time coming and a lot of hard work, but I'm very proud of myself. Yeah, I actually had a friend who in Omaha who worked at a human trafficking shelter as well. So that's when I really started to learn about this work, was through her and her day-to-day life. Of course, with confidentiality, I didn't know much, but I just learned her side of things.
Right.
And when I came to, I've been in Lawrence, so then I was looking for a full-time job, just graduated. I'm like, what do I do now? I've always worked part-time and as a waitress, serving tables, got me through college, typical story. But I found the Willow's job posting and I just kind of knew, truly, I just kind of knew. I was like, yep, I'm going to do that. So I applied, went through the process, and had really great interviews, and kind of fell even more in love. And honestly, well, I mentioned this before, but I did study like all of the Monday meets prior to all of my interviews and stuff. So they were really, really great and interactive, and really helpful and beneficial. And even as someone who isn't a part of the community, well, I am technically, I guess, but it was even helpful for me. So Monday meets are awesome. And
well, thanks.
Yeah, that's just kind of how I stumbled into this opportunity.
Great. Well, certainly, I think you're not the only communications major. I mean, I was a theater and creative writing major, and Felix Rodriguez, the director of Survivor Access, he was a communications major at Missouri as well. So it seems like that is kind of an angle that a few people have come in on advocacy from. But that's awesome. That's great. Did you have kind of so you had some idea of kind of what the advocacy relationship was like? Let's talk a little bit about that, because we focused, you are a rural outreach specialist, and when we started our conversation about doing this, I think we talked a little bit about rural outreach with a couple of people. So it's not that it's not an incredibly important part of what we do, but I think we've kind of covered a lot of the rural outreach bases. But what we haven't really talked too much about is, for people who don't know what advocacy entails, I think we can sometimes get so wrapped up in our own world that we know exactly what we're doing, but maybe other people don't. So I just kind of wanted to take a step back today and kind of chat with you about how you develop your skills as an advocate, what you feel like some positive attributes of advocacy can really be for folks, and how you would what challenges there are to the work you do as an advocate. So to kind of start that off, an advocate has a slightly different position than so many different types of resource in the community. They're not a counselor, they're not a lawyer, they're not a medical professional, but they do they're kind of jack of all trades, and there's a wide variety of things that we can do. So can you kind of talk us through that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. I think learning advocacy, becoming an advocate, really is like a continuous skill. I think even the folks who I've talked to in this agency who've done it many, many years are like, I'm still learning every single day. So it's definitely not something that I can say that I've learned to do just quite yet. I'm learning every day, and it's a lot. It is a lot, but it's really rewarding, and really makes you feel good at the end of the day, and also makes you not feel so good at the end of the day. No day is perfect, but I will say, in regards to how I'm developing my skills as an advocate, it's asking a lot of questions. It's taking a lot of notes. It's going to meetings that I don't have to be at. It's showing up to different things that, all the talk means absolutely nothing to me yet, but I'm still there. I'm still trying to understand. I'm still learning. I'm still at budget meetings, like writing a letter or writing a little comment to the high ups in this organization. I'm just like sticking my head out there, just because that's really what you have to do. And that doesn't only apply to advocacy. I believe that applies to every nook and cranny of life, in something you're interested in. So yes, I've been asking a lot of questions. I've been doing a lot of research, and I've also been just kind of intuitively listening to each and individual story. Every case and every person and every survivor is so different, and their needs are different, and no two shoes are the same, or I don't know, I tried to make up an analogy, but no stories are the same, no situations are the same. And so everything will take a new lens, or a new perspective, or so I just kind of roll with the punches, really. A lot of learning it is, of course, learning how the systems in our community work. So if I don't know about grants, or if I don't know about which organizations offer which benefits, or who's going to help with what, then I won't know anything. All I can do is just kind of be like a supportive person.
Right.
So it's a lot of it is taking the time to really learn and understand the organizations around us who will help me help my survivors, in regards to like housing or DCF, or, to get on food stamps or just anything. I really have to know what's going on in my community, and who offers that, so that I can then provide that service and be a good advocate. And that's not easy. Gosh, there's like a lot of organizations who do one thing one day, and then the next day they're like, oh, just kidding, like we don't have that anymore, or oh, we don't do that anymore, so
Yeah.
again, every day is different.
It is certainly an ever-changing set of systems working, for sure.
Totally, especially with like the state of the world we are in now. While it has been a year and things have adapted a little bit, there still are some challenges. So I'm kind of grateful I came in at the time I did, where things were a little bit more smooth sailing compared to last year. But no, it's definitely a learning process. And in regards to being a good advocate, just having compassion and listening to what it is that your survivor needs, and leading with trauma-informed care. And those are the things that I'm trying to remember to become a better advocate every day.
Yeah. So there's really, it seems like it kind of breaks down into the synthesis of information and resources, continually knowing that those are available and that those are around, and to be able to present that to someone who might need it. You also need to have the side that is the support network, that is someone who can be there to kind of listen, understanding that each situation is unique and each set of needs is unique. And sometimes what people need the most is just someone to be there, to be listening to them, to be kind of going through things with them and helping them come to their own decisions. And then there's also that kind of systems advocacy of learning how the game works in each of these ever moving kind of areas of systems that we have to navigate, including the court systems and other social service networks and other partnerships, which, like ourselves, are always trying new things and innovating and letting things go. So those programs don't always remain the same. So it's kind of this constant juggling act.
Yeah. Totally. And I think that's, you mentioned being supportive. I think that's the difference that makes between an advocate and, let's say, a lawyer. Both me and your lawyer are going to be in your court case, but your lawyer isn't going to be, they're always going to be your lawyer. There's going to be that sense of intimidation, or, just that association with lawyer, meaning there's something going on that's kind of bad happening, right? There's going to be that professionalism that isn't going to be broken. While I'm, of course, have to remain professional, I'm going to be more warm and more welcoming and more adaptable to your needs. Whereas the lawyer, I guess they work for you, but really, like, because of that intimidation situation, it won't be as lax, I would say. And in regards to like counselors and stuff like that, I'm not a mental health specialist. I am not a trained professional. I need counseling too. Shoot, we all need some sort of therapy, or just that kind of open relationship with someone. So that is definitely not me, and I can't pretend that it is, and I can't provide those kinds of services, but I can definitely point you in the right direction of finding one who will work best for you. And I will get you to that place you need to be. If you need a ride to the session, or anything like that, I can always help with stuff like that. I'm more of, now this comparison is kind of difficult to make, because I can't say I'm your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm not gonna hang out with you on a Friday night. I can't, as much as I'd probably like to, I can't. That's something that's not going to happen. But the way you would call on a friend in a time of trouble, or the way that you would need your friend's help in figuring out something, or anything like that, that is what your advocate is for. That is who I am and what I'm supposed to do for you. And I don't take that lightly. I think that's really what sets us apart from any other services like that in this world. That we're going to build that personal connection. I want you to trust me. You can trust me. And that's the difference for sure.
Awesome. I just want to take a moment to remind everybody who's watching or listening to us that if you have questions, Chloe and I would love to answer them for you. So you can feel free to put those in the comments of the Facebook feed, and we will address them as they come in. Or if you have something you'd like to say as well, we don't need to limit it to just questions. If you've got an observation or something you've been thinking about that you want to contribute to the conversation, please do. We're keeping an eye throughout. If you do need help immediately, I do recommend that you call our 24-hour helpline. It is staffed by trained advocates 24/7. And the number. Oh, go ahead.
Where can we find this live? It's on our page, right?
Oh, it's on the Willow Domestic Violence Center Facebook page. Yeah. So if you just go to that, it's on the front page there. And then if you have any questions or need the helpline, it is 785-843-3333. You've been on the hotline all day today, Chloe, right?
I have. Mondays are my day. Lucky me.
Yeah.
It's, the hotline's a big deal. It really is. It really, really is. And we take it very seriously. And we are always anticipating and ready and willing to help whoever calls. So it can be a lot.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. You kind of have mentioned a few things in here that I think are challenges that, and I wanted to kind of explore those challenges of advocacy. I think one is that there's boundaries. You were speaking earlier about how you have to maintain that relationship where you're not friends, but you're sharing a lot of intimate information, and so it can sometimes be a tricky relationship to navigate. In addition to like boundaries and the kind of stress that comes with dealing with crisis situations, what other challenges are there to being an advocate and to advocacy in general?
Yeah, that's a good question, Will. There's definitely a lot of challenges. And I think like every situation, every challenge is different. Just there can be moments where you think you're in the clear and then boom, something comes up. But to be honest, I would say that one of the biggest one of the biggest challenges that I have found, they all kind of root systemically.
Yeah.
They all kind of root from the organizations that are supposed to be helping us, right? Be it in the judicial system, court system, they're just, there's issues there. It can be in housing and trying to get somebody housed. 25 million different problems pop up. It's never really so simple to just help somebody. And that can get really frustrating as an advocate, as I've found so far. There's just a desire in me that just wants to help everybody like immediately and just be like, okay, you need something fixed, boom, it's done. But there's sometimes so many loops and hoops and things that we all have to jump through just to get simple things done. And it's like, we don't want to have these problems for our survivors. We don't want to have these issues arise, and it's not our fault. But it's just kind of like the systemic way that all of these systems are made just create boundaries for so many different people, and it's so frustrating sometimes. And I feel like for me personally, I try to hide those things from my survivors. Like, I'm not going to go and tell them like, oh, I was just on the phone for 3 hours trying to get you this one thing, but I needed this and this. And there's so many people that I'm not going to tell them all the trouble that I went through, because as an advocate, I want to take that pressure off of them. I want to, not burden them with even more than they already carry on their backs every day. That I just want to kind of is good work. And oh no,
I think one of us may have. I think one of us is freezing up. I'm not sure which one it is. You seem like you may be back now.
I think it's me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you seem like you're back now. That's good. That's good.
Okay. Thank you. No, it is my goal as an advocate is to relieve as much stress as I possibly can. And if that involves me not telling you every little detail of all the trouble I went through to help you, then that's what I'm going to do. But the trouble I go through, or we all go through, I feel like are really brought on by our systems and how they're created and how many barriers are just so deeply embedded into them that it's just like mind-boggling. Sure.
Yeah, it's certainly something
frustrating.
I've
and that's not something that I can fix like so easily.
Yeah, I certainly something that we found, or that I found in my time here, is that every system works independently of every other system in ways that people don't necessarily think about them working differently. For example, like the way the court and the DA's office and the police work with each other is very different than you might have this idea of it being a fully integrated machine that works kind of cohesively as one unit of law enforcement and judicial jurisprudence, but it doesn't. It's individual departments with individual people within those individual departments, each of whom has their own thing that they are working on. And so in all of that, even things that should be relatively straightforward, like tracking somebody's progress through the system, can encounter all sorts of issues, particularly when it's a case like domestic violence, when confidentiality is incredibly important to what we do. So we have to maintain our own levels of confidentiality. So it is always kind of a challenge to see those systems that should, in theory, be working together, kind of working against each other. And I think that that's something that is an extraordinary challenge. I have a lot of respect for advocates navigating those systems, and I've got, I see my colleagues working so hard to make things work for clients, and it's so amazing to me, because it can be infinitely frustrating and sometimes seemingly for no reason, barriers for no reason. But let's talk about this. We talked about challenges. Let's hit the flip side of that and maybe talk about some success stories. I don't know if you had a success story recently that you wanted to talk about, or something that you've heard.
Yeah. I mean, I think that every good day is a success, I will say, but of course, this client isn't mine, but they have come a long way from what I've heard, and I've met them and interacted with them and praised them and told them like how amazing that they've done just from like where I've heard they started. And I feel like the agency as a whole is just so proud of this individual person, because just the change and the growth and the new beginning that they're on is just like incredible, I guess. And so it's been really amazing to watch that and see the product that the Willow helped shape and helped bring back to life, I would say. And I'm proud of the work that they all have done and that this person has done to really turn their life around and get back on their feet. And it's just incredible. And I see the pride in all of the advocates' faces, and just like all the shelter staff and everybody is just like, oh, this person, like, oh, thank God. Like, it's so that kind of pride excites me and makes me want to feel that way about my own survivors that I work with too. And I've a survivor I work with closely. I guess we're almost there. We're not at the finish line just yet, but like we're on our way to getting her into her own housing, and it's really exciting, and I'm really proud. So I know that's going to be a success story as well. But of course, barriers kind of halt us along the way. But I know that we're stronger than any challenge that comes up. So I know that we're going to make it through and be another one of my first success stories as an advocate here at the Willow.
Awesome. We do have a question from someone who's tuning in. Melanie asks, have you always wanted to be an advocate or seen yourself as one? And then the second part of the question is, what would you say to someone who's interested in being an advocate themselves? So have you always wanted to be an advocate, or is this
well, I don't know if like my whole life I've had this concept like I'm going to be an advocate. I don't think I really had the language or understanding of what that is, but I can say I definitely kind of always have been in my own way. Even as a child, I can remember times standing up for kids or, doing certain things that I look back now and I'm like, that was advocacy. Okay. So I know it's kind of in my blood, for sure. And so no, I don't think I've always wanted to be one, but I always kind of have been one. And I mean, I'm just learning and growing and just kind of using my true intuition nature that I've always kind of had. So I guess that really helps on this journey in becoming one. And what was the second part?
Second part of the question is, what would you say to someone who is interested in becoming an advocate themselves?
Yeah, I would say totally do it. I mean, the world needs more people who are just good intentioned and looking out for others and want to help and have the ability to. I would say it's not easy work. It's a lot of hard work. And, it is true that not everyone can do this work. And that's just like plain fact simple. Like not everyone can. And I'm not saying I'm going to, be doing this for the rest of my life. I don't know in this capacity and certain other ways possibly, but because it is a lot of weight to carry on our shoulders. We carry other people's problems very intensely. And that can be very difficult, but it's so much more rewarding when you work through those hard moments and you get somebody to safety and you help them get housing and you help them get shelter and food and clothes and start at a new life. So the good definitely outweighs the bad. But I would say be ready to learn and be ready to like really jump in both feet. You can't really half-ass this work. You can't. Because these are people's lives in our hands, really, essentially in some way or another, and we don't want to be another factor of their trauma. We don't want to be another, oh, this person didn't listen to me, or oh, this person brushed me aside. So we really, if you're going to do the work, you should do it right. And that means just trauma-informed care and really giving it your all, the best you can. And it's all right if after a while you realize you can't do it anymore, but as long as you did it and you gave it your all, then I would say go for it. It's really rewarding, but I wouldn't say I mean, you're not going to be a millionaire or anything, but I feel like that doesn't matter when you're making a difference in people's lives, for sure.
I think that, I will just chime in and say that I think the success stories are so uplifting, and when folks kind of are able to go from the worst part of their lives to really having fresh starts that they're happy with and making changes that they're happy with, that they've driven themselves, and we've sort of helped them along the way. It's just such a cool feeling when that does work. I am going to just kind of move us forward a little bit to let's talk about kind of the future of your role and the future of the agency. Where would you like to see the Willow go in the next sort of few years and in your journey here?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be room for improvement everywhere, in every cornerstone of any organization or activity or anything. So in regards to like rural county, I would see, I'm going to be a little honest with you, Will, in the sense that I don't have much experience in rural counties. I'm from Los Angeles, the absolute opposite of a tiny small town. So and while I hear it's funny because I hear small town people say they're so afraid of the big city, and then I'm afraid of the small town. So that's ironic and funny, but
it's a big transition between here and LA for sure.
totally. Even Lawrence, like some of them are afraid of Lawrence, and
Yeah,
just like that's how small these small towns are. And you know, I personally, for me, I would like to be more comfortable to just be open in these small towns, be open to just kind of fully investing myself in them, not necessarily like living there, but just kind of becoming part of the community, I would say. And that would take, you know, a lot probably. But okay. I would want to just be more involved with the community, I would say. Have like some like a food truck night, or like just something to get the small towns just feel more included, I would say.
yeah,
And then yeah, right. And then in regards to like the Willow itself, I probably shouldn't cuss, but I kind of just say this thing that I don't know shit about shit. So I really, you know, who am I to come here only working here after 2 months and say, you know, fix this, this, and this. But one thing that I would say that I would love to see from the Willow is, and I've talked with our executive director about this, is that we need to allow pets in our shelter, because that is such a huge barrier for so many survivors.
Yeah.
And I went to a webinar on, you know, trauma, and one of the portions of the conversation was how when there's pets involved, it's a whole different ballgame. Like if like they compared it to like Hurricane Katrina and natural disasters where people literally risk their lives going back for their pets because of just the love they have, and then that like that kind of trauma creates such a bond with the animal. And they compared domestic violence to that same kind of trauma, that when pets are around for this you know, monstrosities, owners don't want to leave them, and that's a big make or break it deal. And I wish we had the ability to bring pets into our shelter. Now, for anyone watching, we love and support animals, of course, but we just can't bring animals into our shelter itself. But we do have programs with our local humane society and shelters in our rural communities that will lovingly hold on to your animals while you're in shelter. And they will also, there's some programs that that they're being fostered and your animals are being super well cared for and loved on and treated amazingly, but we just can't have your pets in the exact shelter. So that's what I mean when I say that we can't, you know, can't take care of that need. But that's definitely something I want to see happen in the, you know, 5-year plan or so, because I think that's really important for people. And
well, there are some shelters, and you know, I would love to see a situation in which we can accommodate this. That there's some shelters that do have pet shelters attached to the main shelter, so that people are at least able to be within proximity of their pet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do know statistically, because when we had the presentation with the Humane Society, we talked a little bit about this. Statistically, folks who have pets are 8 times more likely to stay in a domestic abusive relationship for longer because of that pet. Because they want to take care of the pet, and that threatening pets is very often involved in an abusive relationship as well. So, you know, they're oftentimes folks are you know, one of the tactics that abusers use in that power and control is threatening animals, because they know that it will keep that person, they keep the survivor there. And that's just, it's just a terrible barrier to ask somebody to have to leave their pet behind, certainly. So yeah, that's and that's kind of a somber note to end on, but I do want to say that it's been really great having you here. And the last thing I like to do is give everybody a chance to do a shout out. So if there's any colleagues, friends, family, any events that you're into, or any hobbies that you want to shout out. Basically, it's just kind of an open forum to just say a little thanks to people, and also kind of let us know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for having me, Will. It's been a pleasure. I love any opportunity like this. So if you need me, call me.
Awesome.
I want to give a shout out to my wonderful supervisor and boss, I would say, Martha Terhar and Taylor Jones. They've really helped guide me and train me and build me up as a soldier of advocacy. And they've been amazing and answered all my questions. And actually, everyone here at the Willow has been so incredible and so wonderful. And I'm really proud to work here. And I'm excited that this organization is my first in the potentially like lifetime work of advocacy. So thank you, Willow, very much for hiring me. I definitely want to shout out my friends, my girlfriends, who I love very much. They are definitely like so helpful, a stress relief, a decompressor, a laugh when I need it. They're so great and I love them very much. My parents, who are wonderful and so supportive. My mom just calls me all the time. She's like, how was it today? Was it good? And I'm like, Mom, I can't tell you, but yes, it was good. So I love my parents so much and I appreciate them for always being examples of advocacy in my life. And my fabulous boyfriend, of course, who brought me to Kansas in the first place. Thanks. It's like, I'm just kidding. No, I know the universe brought me to Kansas in the Willow for a reason, and I'm so happy to be here. So yes, I love you very much, all of you. And I'm just happy, it's been good. I'm glad to be here. I'm doing my thing, living the Kansas life, and it's been real good. So
awesome
for having me.
Now, are you one of the gamers of the Willow? Do you do any role playing? Because we have several folks who are like tabletop or role playing gamers. I didn't know if you were in on that.
Does that mean? Do you mean like video games, or do you mean
well, both? We have a ton of video gamers. Tasia is a huge gamer, and as well as Sabrina was. We also have some D&D nerds. So I'm just wondering if you fall into any of those categories.
That's gonna be a hard no for me. But I support any activity, and I will do your makeup for your role play events.
There you go.
I will be behind the production of the YouTube video, or I can act it out. I can be the star of the YouTube video if you need. But, no, my hobbies are limited. I would say I'm on the search for some new hobbies, but I can. What can I do? I can crochet.
There you go. That's awesome. Yeah, I like it. Team Willow Crochet. Shout us out. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you giving your time. I know it's a busy day on the phones, and really appreciate you coming and talking to us. If you do have any questions that you didn't get a chance to ask, I put my email on the Facebook comments. Feel free to email us, and I'll get back to you, or have Chloe get back to you. Depending on who has the answer. Next week, we will be meeting at 3:00 with Quinn American Horse, and we're going to talk more about Willow programs and community advocacy. So that'll be very, very exciting. Until then, I'll see you later. Have a great Monday.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.